What it do? What it do? Can y'all believe I'm up? Lord have mercy. So please, don't let me be up here long, y'all. But I wanted to get this on out the way. I've been sitting up with this one with Obama talking about giving his 2 cents about Charlie, the Epstein file, and recently he had some. Come on now, sit up. Something to say about your boy, old Trumpty Dumpty, mashed potato head. Oh, Lord. I guess it's too late for it to be up. So I wanted to get it on out the way. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel went in on de-escalate gate. So, whoa, Obama lay into Trump. Hold on. Let me start with this one.
So we had the spectacle of my successor in the Oval Office making broad claims around certain drugs and autism that have been continuously disproved. And the degree to which that undermines public health, the degree to which that can do harm to women who are pregnant, the degree to which that creates anxiety for parents who do have children who are autistic, which, by the way, itself is subject to a spectrum, and a lot of what is being trumpeted as these massive increases actually have to do with a broadening of the criteria across that spectrum so that people can actually get services and help, not to, it's all of that is violence against the truth.
Violence against the truth. Oh, I love that. Violence against the truth. We are at war with the truth. Absolutely. A lot of deception, mishandling of truth on purpose. People be in denial. And sometimes it's just plain old sabotage. Sometimes that's just what it is. Sometimes people don't want to know the truth. They can't even handle their own truth. Or they don't like themselves enough to face the truth. That's why it says, to thy own self be true. I like that. That's it. Let me finish this with him.
All of that is violence against the truth.
Violence against the truth. Can we say it one more time for the ones in the back? It's violence against the truth.
All of that
Foolishness.
is violence against the truth.
But the truth gonna set you free. It'll set you free, mashed potato head. It'll absolutely set you free. Hold on. Yeah, this is about President Obama. Hopefully we won't be here long. But he has some things he wanted to say, and I'm going to let him say it. How about that? Is that all right? Is that all right? Is that all right? Let's go, y'all.
Wow, looks like your hiring's making a lot of people happy. ZipRecruiter's new tool,
We are certainly at an inflection point, not just around political
Hey,
violence,
Willie
but
Spencer, let me bring it over here, cause hey, Spencer, thank you for hanging in with me tonight. I was intending to come back shortly after that other one, but it went way longer than expected, and I went someplace else. But I'm here. I owe it to y'all to get it out, and that's what I'm going to do before I lay down and go to sleep. I had some lemonade, y'all. Listen. And did I put the rest of it in the refrigerator? I think I did. And didn't realize all that sugar that was in there. So if you really want to know why I'm up, it was the lemonade fault. I drank it too late. But let's go. I'm here now. Let's go. Let's listen.
we are certainly at an inflection point, not just around political violence, but there are a host of larger trends that we have to be concerned about. I think it is important for us at the outset to acknowledge that political violence is not new. It has happened at certain periods in our history. But it is something that it is anathema to what it means to be a democratic country. And regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. What happened, as you mentioned, to the state legislators in Minnesota, that is horrific. It is a tragedy. And there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The central premise of our democratic system is that we have to be able to disagree and have sometimes really contentious debates without resort to violence.
True.
And when it happens to some, but even if you think they're quote unquote on the other side of the argument, that's a threat to all of us. And we have to be clear and forthright in condemning it. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have a debate about the ideas that people who were victims of political violence were promoting. And so I've noticed that there's been some confusion, I think, around this lately. And frankly, coming from the White House and some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was,
Right.
that somehow we're going to identify an enemy. We're going to suggest that somehow that enemy was at fault, and we are then going to use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around who we are as a country and what direction we should go.
Freedom of speech.
And that's a mistake as well. And so, look, obviously I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong.
Right.
But that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man
Right.
with 2 small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake.
Right.
That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation about who are we as a country. I can say that I disagree with the suggestion that my wife or Justice Jackson does not have adequate brain processing power.
Right. He never had anything positive to say about black people.
I can say that I
None. I guess for
disagree
Candace,
that
maybe
Martin Luther
Candace
King was
Owens
awful.
and
I
Kanye
can
West. I mean,
disagree
yeah.
with some of the broader suggestions of that liberals and Democrats are promoting a conspiracy to displace whites and replace them by ushering in illegal immigrants. Those are all topics that we have to be able to discuss honestly
Right.
and forthrightly, while we still insist that in that process of debate, we respect other people's right to say things that we profoundly disagree with. That's how we should approach this. Now, the last point I'll make on this, or building on a point I made earlier.
I got a Mazzato knife, and what followed was an absolute fiasco. Here's what really pisses me off. I've wasted thousands on knife sets that can't do...
I've been very impressed with Governor Cox in Utah and how he's approached some of these issues. I suspect Governor Cox and I disagree on a whole bunch of stuff. He is a Republican, a self-professed conservative Republican. But in his response to this tragedy, as well as his history of how he engages with people who are political adversaries, he has shown, I think, that it is possible
Hi,
for
Donald.
us to disagree while abiding by a basic code of how we should engage in public debate. I think your own governor here, Josh Shapiro, has done the same thing. When I was president, in the aftermath of tragedies, when Dylan Roof went into a black church and, based on his own words, shot a group of folks who were engaged in Bible study and who had invited him in. And according to him, it was for racist reasons. As President of the United States, my response was not, who may have influenced this troubled young man to engage in that kind of violence, and now let me go after my political opponents and use that. George Bush, again, I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but he is a good, gracious man, and one of the, I thought, most commendable things that he did after 9/11, the most horrific thing to happen to the United States during the course of my lifetime, in my memory, in the aftermath of this terrible tragedy, made a point. We are going to go after the people who perpetrated this. But he explicitly went out of his way to say, we are not at war against Islam, and systematically and repeatedly talked about how we can't use this as a way to divide and target fellow Americans. And so when I hear not just our current president, but his aides, who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies, who need to be targeted. That speaks to a broader problem that we have right now, and something that we're going to have to grapple with, all of us, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, Independents. We have to recognize that on both sides, undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. And that is when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views, we've got a problem.
Say goodbye to your reading glasses, computer glasses, and even your sunglasses. Introducing the last pair of glasses.
Okay, what was my next one? Hold on.
Well, now, the phrase Trump...
Hold on. Let me see what my next one is. Y'all please hit the like button. Bear with me. Let me get to the next one. Let me see what this one is.
To recognize that on both sides,
I think this is the same one.
undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. Point. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views.
Presidents respond in moments of national pain. He pointed back to former...
Good morning and welcome to Rising. Thanks so much for joining us on this Wednesday morning. We've got a little
Thursday. Don't push us back.
Oh my gosh, it's Thursday.
Don't be crazy, Robin.
That's good news. I did a little bit of time traveling just there. I was distracted by this beautiful kind of light peeking through the clouds. Y'all can't see it, but we've got these.
It was so dark yesterday, and Robbie does not like a dreary day, okay? He's very not sunshine, rainbows, flowers.
Because I'm so bright and
but he doesn't like dark days.
All right, well, coming up on Rising, the former CDC director was testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday, and things did get a little bit testy.
Plus, FBI Director Kash Patel also got into some heated exchanges with Democratic lawmakers over those Epstein files.
Plus, President Trump has vowed to declare AunTeaFee a terrorist organization. But Lindsay, let's get to your radar. What's on it?
Yeah, let's talk about it today. So former President Barack Obama says the nation is at a, quote, inflection point after the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. In his first public remarks on the shooting, Obama called Kirk's death a tragedy. Let's take a look.
Regardless of where you are on the political spectrum,
Maybe this is the same.
what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. What happened, as you mentioned, to the state legislators in Minnesota, that is horrific. It is a tragedy.
Now, Obama made those remarks at the Jefferson Educational Society's Global Summit Tuesday night. He argued that America is in the middle of a, quote, political crisis, and went further, noting that the President Trump is fueling divisions with his response to the tragedy. But what stood out to me most was the contrast Obama drew between how presidents respond in moments of national pain. He pointed back to former rivals like George W. Bush, potential president that ran for one, John McCain and Mitt Romney, people who, despite sharp policy differences, understood the assignment when tragedy struck to unify the country.
Understood
That
the
reminded me how
assignment.
Obama himself handled one of the darkest moments of his presidency, the 2015 mass shooting at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Now let's remember, that was a white supremacist who murdered 9 black worshipers in their sanctuary, hoping to ignite a race war. Obama didn't scapegoat political enemies or look for the loudest partisan villain to attack. He just called the shooter what he was, a criminal, and then tried to rally the nation toward unity.
This is not the first time that black churches have been attacked.
Did he lower the flag
We know
to
that
half
hatred
staff?
across races and faiths pose a particular threat to our democracy and our ideals. The good news is I'm confident that the outpouring of unity and strength and fellowship and love across Charleston today, from all races, from all faiths, from all places of worship, indicates the degree to which those old vestiges of hatred can be overcome.
Now that's presidential leadership, setting a tone that calms
Hey,
the country
exclusive,
instead of pouring
Illis.
gasoline on an already burning fire. But compare that to how President Trump responded to Kirk's assassination.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals.
Now, Trump played the blame game 2 minutes into a 4-minute speech. He took the tragedy and used it as a political tool, targeting his opponents rather than simply mourning the loss and trying to bring unity. Obama this week called that out.
Hold on, y'all. Please hit the like button. Let's go.
I've noticed that there's been some confusion, I think, around this lately. And frankly, coming from the White House and some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was, that somehow we're going to identify an enemy.
Former president then suggested that this line of thinking could lead the country.
Now, why would you even, heavy metal Tin Man, why would you even put that in the comment section? I mean, why do I need to go and listen to it? And what in the world will make you think that I'm being, what you say, being gaslit? I mean, I don't know what you're trying to say, but nobody can light me, if that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, nobody can gaslight me. I definitely know the difference. And he was out of line. Period. He was out of line. So I don't have to go and listen. I've listened to enough. But in spite of what he said, I still have condolences for his family, and I pray his soul God keeps that. But that's between him and God. But can't nobody gaslight me. You know, I feel that a lot of people who believe in everything that he said need to do a little soul searching, respectfully. But no, you don't need to tell me I've been gassed. I think y'all definitely have been misled. So no, you check on your side, and I'll deal with where I'm at. Okay, respectfully. Yeah. Y'all better stop believing everything this man said. He's already said he can lie in y'all face and y'all will believe everything that he says. So what does that mean? He said I can tell them anything and they'll believe it. They can see me do it and still believe me. So no, he's gaslighting you, and he gaslit. He had Charlie until his light bulb was coming on, and started questioning things that he probably should have questioned long before he did. And that is why he was taken out by people that he trusts. So you do the research. Okay? The minute he started demanding to see the Epstein files and asking him about Israel, yeah, refusing to be funded and refusing to go and visit, he was assassinated by his people. But he knew it was coming. Now, the good thing about it, let me tell you the good thing about Charlie. I mean, and I didn't follow him, so I don't know of other good things. So I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. But in the short time that I was aware of him, I am thankful that he was coming to his senses and put warnings out that who was threatening, who was if something was to happen to him, he pointed in the right direction instead of being deceitful, ornery, and conniving as he would have done. Yeah, he knew where the threat was coming. You understand? So yeah, that is very respectful. That is very honorable. That right there showed character, because he could have blamed someone that was innocent, and he didn't. He knew where the threat was coming from. Okay? So no, I'm not defending anyone. I'm telling you what I saw, what I know. Because Trump would have loved for him to blame someone that didn't have anything to do with it. Yeah. So he knew that there was a threat coming from Israel when he started denouncing Israel. Okay? I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't want to have to tell you that. But thank God. But God. But God. He didn't put it on someone else. So I commend him for that. So just in case somebody thinks that I'm being harsh, I commend him for being honest to put the blame on who was actually threatening him. It was no one of color. It was no one from the left. It was no one from nowhere other than Israel and the White House. Can I go forward now, sir?
President Trump responded to Kirk's assassination.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable.
So in other words, when Charlie was telling him not to trust Bibi in Israel, don't bomb Iran for Israel, right? Yeah. So then now he felt betrayed. That's why it was the pouring of the concrete on the White House lawn was more important to him, or more, than being concerned about Charlie. So.
Way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals.
Now, Trump played the blame game 2 minutes into a 4-minute speech. He took the tragedy and used it as a political tool, targeting his opponents rather than simply mourning the loss and trying to bring unity. Obama this week called that out.
I've noticed that there's been some confusion, I think, around this lately. And frankly, coming from the White House and some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was, that somehow we're going to identify an enemy.
Former president then suggested that this line of thinking could lead the country down the wrong path.
We're going to identify an enemy. We're going to suggest that somehow that enemy was at fault, and we are then going to use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around who we are as a country and what direction we should go.
And that's the bigger point here. Leadership isn't about silencing the debate or vilifying half of the country because they hold different views. It's about making space for the disagreement without justifying violence. Not one Democratic leader on the left wished for Charlie Kirk to die because of his views. Not one. Disagreement with someone's ideology is not the same as endorsing their murder, and suggesting otherwise is not only dishonest, it's dangerous. At the end of the day, presidents set the tone. When tragedy strikes, the job is simple, but it's hard. Comfort the nation, call for unity, and make sure the civil discourse continues.
Call for unity.
Blaming political rivals for the act of one violent criminal.
Call for unity.
At fault, and we are then going to use.
I would have loved for Trump to call for unity when it happened, instead of divide. That's poor leadership to me. Poor leadership.
Use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around
Somebody gonna knock them out.
who we are as a country and what direction we should go.
And that's the bigger point here. Leadership isn't about silencing the debate or vilifying half of the country because they hold different views. It's about making space for the disagreement without justifying violence. Not one Democratic leader on the left wished for Charlie Kirk to die because of his views. Not one.
Not one. Not one. Not one. Whether we agree with him or not. Whether he was rude or disrespectful, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It really didn't matter until Trump made it an issue, until he made it a divide. And that's the honest to God truth. It didn't matter.
Not one Democratic leader on the left wished for Charlie Kirk to die because of his views. Not one. Disagreement with someone's ideology is not the same as endorsing their murder, and suggesting otherwise is not only dishonest, it's dangerous. At the end of the day, presidents set the tone. When tragedy strikes, the job is simple, but it's hard. Comfort the nation, call for unity, and make sure the civil discourse continues. Because blaming political rivals for the act of one violent criminal does not just miss the mark, it leaves the country more divided. And to me, that's not leadership.
Oh, why are we saying the same thing? I never even watched this lady.
Well, look, I appreciate the things Barack Obama said there. I don't disagree with them at all. I don't think the immediate aftermath of a horrific mass shooting should be used as some pretext for political persecution of your enemies. And a lot of what the Trump administration is going to do in response to this,
And for him to be at this young man's funeral, saying that that's the only thing that him and Charlie disagreed on, is that Charlie didn't have a hatred for his enemies, or did he say, he didn't, I don't think he said enemies, but the people that he disagreed with, you know, he didn't have a hatred for them. But Trump said that's the only thing that they really didn't agree upon, because he hates his. And he said this at this young man's funeral. I think that was horrible. I think that was horrible. Very distasteful.
I don't agree.
You have said that, yeah. I want everybody to know that you did say you don't think this is the moment to do that.
But you know, when Obama says not to politicize it, not to blame the rhetoric of your opponents, I just find that to be such a hollow remark, because
I don't think that they didn't do a moment of silence. Even we did a moment of silence for him. I still don't agree. I didn't agree with him. And if, you know, it's kind of that old saying, you know, if you don't have something good to say, just don't say nothing at all. Some things, if you know, but I don't even think that was the case. It was just totally opposite. It was totally opposite. It was radical on one side and calm on the other. I mean, I absolutely did not agree. Even learning of him and listening, I did not agree, but it did not erase the fact that I had empathy for a person who said that he didn't respect empathy. He felt like it was an excuse. But God is empathy. And then he said he was a believer in God, in Jesus Christ. So if God, Jesus Christ, is empathy, there's a conflict right there. But just because he didn't believe in empathy didn't mean that I didn't have any for him. So, you know, I just think it was handled totally different. And I think that he probably, if he was still alive, would have been surprised at the empathy that he received on a side that he didn't think probably would have shown care or regards, who had regards for him and his family, and who did not have regards for him and his family. Does that make sense? Because a side that he didn't appreciate had it for him, and some of the ones that he thought was cool with him and his views didn't. And I don't think it had anything to do with him. But it could have been some on his side that was mocking him. Did you not see Trump when someone said that Charlie said this, and he said, well, he ain't saying nothing now? That's mocking him to me. Well, he ain't saying nothing now. President Trump said that. You don't look at that as mocking him? Oh, he said that before, but he not saying that now. I mean, he can't say nothing now. Yeah, see, but you understand? You picking and choosing the heavy metal tin man. Trump mocked him. Trump mocked Charlie. He said he ain't saying nothing now. Yeah, because Charlie questioned him about the Epstein file in Israel. And he said he ain't saying nothing now. You missed that? Did you missed him saying that? See, to me, that was the biggest mockery. But that went over some people's head. So it is what it is. Let me go on with the show, because I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you. Okay?
At all. I don't think the immediate aftermath of a horrific mass shooting should be used as some pretext
you
for
pick and
political
choose.
persecution
That's my
of your
point.
enemies.
You pick and choose. You didn't take it like that. Well, how else do you take someone saying, well, he can't say nothing now? You took that as a what? Yeah, that's mocking. That's mocking. He dead. He dead. So he can't question me now. Okay, well, no. How about I remove you, and I'm still go on with my show. Y'all say bye to the Tin Man. I'm show you how that works. Bye. He didn't know it was coming, did he, y'all? Illis. He didn't know. Yeah.
It leaves the country more divided, and to me, that's not leadership.
It ain't leadership. It was mocking him.
When tragedy strikes
his own big pappy, his pappy, yeah, Trump mocked him. He mocked him. And the Tin Man should feel a particular way about what he said, but he didn't. Yeah. So you picking and choosing.
It's simple, but it's hard. Comfort the nation, call for unity, and make sure the civil discourse continues. Because blaming political rivals for the act of one violent criminal does not just miss the mark, it leaves the country more divided. And to me, that's not leadership.
It's not leadership.
Well, look, I appreciate the things Barack Obama said there. I don't disagree with them at all. I don't think the immediate aftermath of a horrific mass shooting should be used as some pretext for political persecution of your enemies, and a lot of what the Trump administration is going to do in response to this, I don't agree.
You have said that, yeah. I want everybody to know that you did say you don't think this is the moment to do that.
But you know, when Obama says not to politicize it, not to blame the rhetoric of your opponents, I just find that to be such a hollow remark, because that has long been the textbook response to tragedies perpetrated by
shooting apples. Oh, whoa! New fireball blazing apple. Shoot it straight.
Plausibly or discernibly right-wing figures, or assumed to be right-wing figures, by the mainstream media and the Democratic Party and progressive activists. When Gabby Giffords was shot during Barack Obama's presidency in 2012, Democratic representative in Arizona, the response from Democrats, I guess I can't recall precisely what Barack Obama himself said, but the response from Democrats in the mainstream media and progressive activists was overwhelmingly to blame right-wing rhetoric and the Tea Party, even though it turned out the shooter had nothing to do with the right at all.
And that's can I push back on that? Because I think that the response was to try to go to Congress to push gun laws forward, and that's where discussion and debate. But that, I mean, that's usually the context to figure out how.
Here's the Guardian. Here's the Guardian from 14 years ago. Gabby Gifford shooting. The Guardian's progressive news website. Gabby Gifford shooting reignites row over right-wing rhetoric in U.S. Sarah Palin at center of storm over political vitriol after spree leaves 6 dead. It had nothing to do with Sarah Palin.
That's fine. So Fox News, Newsmax, MSNBC can do what they want. I'm talking about the president.
Yeah.
That's the clear distinction I'm making. It comes from the top down. The president must lead in this moment and be the leader for the party and show an example. And so what President Obama did during his term was to try to be that example, and the rhetoric still continued on who to point fingers and blame at. But when it's coming from the top, to me that's problematic because we're trying to bring the nation together, or at least we need to try. We are at a really contentious point in our nation's history, and it's not the worst of times, and it doesn't need to be the worst of times. And so it starts from the top on trying to bring people together. That's the biggest issue for me, is that yes, everyone's saying what they want to say. All these people that have podcasts and blogs, I'm not trying to criticize and figure out how to organize all of them. I'm asking for the president to be presidential.
Right.
Isn't that like a fair ask?
The president.
You should want that from your president as well.
Right, but I just think we're looking back on Obama's
president.
own terms with, we're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses to say that there was no division or that division was not being fostered. It was loftier rhetoric
Not by
than
him.
that which is employed by Donald Trump, but conservatives certainly felt that division was being
This week, Senator Dick Durbin was saying that to characterize MAGA as Nazis is problematic. And on the other side, when Republicans characterize Democrats as the party of murder or evil, that's also extremely problematic. Why can't we agree that those things are not right? That these parties don't cause murder and evil, and these parties are not also Nazis, right? This is like just the basis of my argument right here.
Okay. Well, I'm fine to take that, to accept your proposal that not to call enemies Nazis or murderers or whatever it is.
Because the people committing the act are the people with the gun. I mean,
right. I don't think that's helpful.
Right.
But, and I also don't know that it is plausibly connected to this shooting or any other shooting, the rhetoric of any. That's actually where I draw the biggest line, is that people's inflammatory rhetoric is asserted without evidence that is at the root of the violence problem we're seeing. And this shooter, to be clear, is it has left-wing motivations, clearly, but was probably radicalized by online peer groups rather than the rhetoric of political figures. But we'll still be investigating that for some time to come, I think.
For sure. So up next, the former CDC director was on Capitol Hill to testify before the Senate Health Committee, and things got a little...
Okay, let me see what she's saying over here.
And the debates about unity and extremism, apparently it's all Donald Trump's fault. Everything was fine under Barack. Just ask Barack.
You have to recognize that.
Okay, so I see what they on. Oh my goodness. 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 So that was the autism.
At Shane Company, we
Hold
create
on.
unique fine jewelry that feels designed just for you.
Rubio, that comes from Patrick Rodenbush in President Obama's
16.
Tonight, Obama fighting back, the former president calling out President Trump in a way that we have not seen before, slamming what he calls the, quote, bizarre and, quote, ridiculous allegations Trump made against him in the Oval Office just hours ago. So here's some of what Trump said.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold. Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up all the way going up to 2020 of the election. They tried to rig the election. We found absolute, this isn't like evidence, this is like proof, irrefutable proof that Obama...
I mean, Obama stays in this man's head, don't he?
Was trying to lead a coup.
All right, trying to lead a coup. Now, usually anyone associated with Obama just ignores all that. They don't respond. But that is not what happened this time. Obama's spokesperson responded in part. And I quote, "Out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response, but these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction." Jamal Simmons is out front now, and the former Republican governor of Minnesota, Tim Pawlenty. All right, I appreciate both of you very much. So, Jamal, look, this is a change to come from Team Obama. It's a spokesperson, okay, but it's a change. And to come out and to speak like that, bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Now, Trump said that Obama was trying to stage a coup, so that's what caused this. But what do you think, how significant of a departure is this for Obama to actually say, okay, we're going to respond?
Well, first of all, it's pretty rich that the man who was sort of affiliated with the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol is the one accusing people of trying to stage a coup. Obama, about a few days ago, came out and went after Democrats and said, it's time for Democrats to be, to speak up and to, not do so much navel gazing. He did that at a fundraiser. And so I think a lot of Democrats said, well, a lot of people are speaking up. They're marching. They're
Roxanne, right. Epstein files. Period.
So I think we see President Obama stepping up too. And so he's stepping up.
Epstein files. Period. Epstein.
Accuse him of leading a coup. And remember, it wasn't just what he said. Trump said in the Oval Office, President Trump said, he also released a video on his social media network showing Barack Obama being arrested in the Oval Office and carried out.
It was an AI-generated video, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was part of what prompted the actual response here. It is a change, all right, and it's a change coming from the former president. So it matters in that respect. And Governor Pawlenty, Speaker Johnson is now saying that he would not be opposed to subpoenaing Obama to testify before Congress over these allegations. Here he is.
We have no concern about that. If it's uncomfortable for him, he shouldn't have been involved in overseeing this, which is what it appears to us has happened. There's a lot of allegations on the table. Our job is to go and follow each of those trails and to find out the truth.
Obviously, that's coming in the context of the changing of the topic going on in Washington, especially with Johnson away from Epstein. But Governor, I'm curious as to whether you think Obama now taking a sharper tone and stepping up as opposed to being quiet and trying to take the high road, is it too little too late, or does it matter for Democrats?
Well, of course, former governors, former presidents always try to be a little measured as to when and how they respond to their successors. President Obama has been pretty muted in that regard, with a few exceptions. But in this case, President Trump called him out directly, and President Obama answered the bell and swung back. Aaron, like you, I read the Mueller report. It basically concluded that the Russians did try to interfere with the election, but there was no actual proof of coordination in that regard. I'm not aware, nor have I seen any public reporting, that President Obama somehow ordered something inappropriate relative to that investigation. If Tulsi Gabbard or President Trump has that kind of evidence, then they should bring it forward. Otherwise, this seems like puffery.
All right, well, absolutely, that, and certainly not helpful in the political climate we're in this country. But Jamal, Obama fighting back, and I hear the governor saying, look, this was specific, and something specific perhaps merited a response. And maybe we don't read into it an overall change. But there are so many in the Democratic Party saying, come on, where is the leadership? Who is going to be the standard bearer of that party? And someone who has certainly seems to be trying to take that on and testing different ways is Gavin Newsom from California, constantly going after Trump, after for a while tacking the other way to say, well, I'm going to talk to Bannon, I'm going to talk to all these people, I'm going to figure it out. But now he's posting things about Epstein and Trump, and he just said this about Trump and his immigration policies.
It's a weakness masquerading as strength. That's what I don't like about this son of I don't. And forgive me, I know he's the president of the United States. Forgive me, I didn't, he calls me new scum. Come on.
So what do you think of that, Jamal?
I think he's conflicted about how hard to go to use profanity. But listen, I think Gavin Newsom is the one Democrat I hear the most about from people who don't work in Washington and don't work in politics. And the reason why I think I hear about Gavin Newsom is because he's out there and really taking on Trump in a really forceful way. He'll go anywhere, Fox News or any other channel, and he'll do anything to kind of make his case. And I think a lot of Democrats are looking for somebody, it's not really about policy, but somebody who's got the attitudinal toughness who will take on Trump. We'll see how that works out. But what we have seen is in California, his poll numbers have gone up from 38% to about 56% because I think voters like to see him taking on Trump and not just sitting back and trying to find a middle road.
Do you think Gavin Newsom has it right, Governor?
I think Governor Newsom is an energetic and gifted communicator, but his policies suck. I mean, can you imagine him running in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Wisconsin and places that are going to decide the next presidential election? He's got a long history of ultra-left policies in California and in San Francisco, and I just don't see how that's going to sell nationally, notwithstanding his gifted oratory skills.
Gifted oratory skills, of which he has. I don't know if calling someone a son of a you-know-what might go in that category, but he does have those skills, whether you count that or not.
That comes to mind is fair.
Are we in the policy era? I just don't know that we're in the policy era anymore with Donald Trump. I think we've moved to a different phase of the game, and I think this phase of the game, frankly, is not that nice.
No, well, that's
although if you look at why Trump, Aaron, when you look at why Trump won the last election, besides his oversized personality. Inflation, immigration, crime, wokeness run amok. Those are policies.
Right, that fed into the personality. All right, thank you both. I appreciate it. See you both soon.
We here at the arena just got a statement in from the former president's office.
Inflation, immigration, crime, wokeness run amok. Those are policies.
Right, that fed into the personality. All right, thank you both. I appreciate it. See you both soon.
We here at the arena just got a statement in from the former president's office. We're going to read that to you. So they say this, quote, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. That these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. These findings were affirmed in a 2020 report by the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee, led by then Chairman Marco Rubio. That comes from Patrick Rodenbush in President Obama's office. So, Kristen, I feel like I'm flashing back to when Trump was helicoptering to New Hampshire and Barack Obama was at the podium releasing his birth certificate, because it really does seem like we have been transported back to that time because President Trump doesn't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What is your latest reporting?
Yeah, that's true. And President Obama might want to get ready to continue to respond, because I am told that this is just the beginning of what Gabbard intends to release, that there are more documents more related to Russia. So this might be an ongoing theme. Now, President Trump, both publicly and behind the scenes, has been complaining about why exactly everyone wants to keep talking about Epstein. Just moments ago, he posted this on Truth Social. He said, "We had the greatest 6 months of any president in the history of our country, and all the fake news wants to talk about is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax." It has been obvious that President Trump wants to talk about literally anything but Jeffrey Epstein. He has pushed conspiracy theories. He has discussed various accomplishments in office. He has put videos on social media that have literally nothing to do with anything going on in the country currently. But nothing was more clear than when President Trump was asked specifically about this unsealing of the grand jury documents and the fact that the Department of Justice wanted to sit down with Maxwell. Take a listen.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do, yeah.
Do you have any concern that your Deputy Attorney General is your former attorney?
Why do you not know anything about it?
No, I have no concern. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election.
And Casey, one thing to note here, this has put this situation, this case, this investigation, and the memo from the Department of Justice has put the White House in a position it doesn't often find itself, which is on the defensive. Now, they had a brief moment where they felt like they were bringing the MAGA base together at the end of the week last week with that Wall Street Journal story, with the fact that they sued the Wall Street Journal. They saw the different members of the base coming to President Trump's defense, but it seems as though that is waning because what we're hearing from these MAGA loyalists and from these Republican lawmakers is they want more information and they want it quickly. One of the most interesting things I heard actually came from Armanu Raju up on the Hill, who was talking to Republican Senator Josh Hawley yesterday, who said his constituents are calling him and that they want more information about Jeffrey Epstein. So not going away anytime soon, Casey.
Okay, I think I have one more, y'all. He just can't help himself. And now he going out to call me. Let me see. Got that one. Let me see.
Is violence against the truth.
It appears that former President Barack Obama had
Dependence.
Obama publicly condemned.
And they won't let go.
Okay, the boho comes
Yeah, I
from
think
rice
that
starch
one
in the
is the
color
same.
oat milk,
Hold
which
on.
is the one that always goes in and out of stock so fast.
Out so loudly against current president. Former President Barack Obama pounded Donald Trump in a rare public rebuke. This is
Okay,
not
so they
common.
just
It is not common in general that former presidents come out.
they was shocked. They was really
against
shocked.
current presidents, and it is not typical for Barack Obama specifically to start doing this, but he did, and I understand why, because he sees a lot of the same threats that we believe, and he lays out in a really clear way here how there are even things that other Republicans would have said, no, this is too far. There are certain values that are not Republican or Democratic values.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
American
so they're
values.
just recapping that one. So hold on. They were we just shocked that inside. Hold on. Oh yeah, let's finish this. Hold on. Yeah, I don't want to weigh in on Charlie's view of Barack. So I think I'm going to end it there because the other one I had was Charlie versus Obama. And I don't know if I want to.
For why we've gone into this.
Yeah.
Obama shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read off my phone because I wasn't really expecting to ask a question.
Okay.
I completed
So
my
he
degree
went in on the
last
shirt.
semester, and I'm currently wrapping up my data science minor. I was really with you about the fact that the material condition of a young adult now. Hi, Charlie.
Is that an Obama shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
president.
I'm gonna read off my phone because I wasn't really expecting.
What did he say?
Hi, Charlie.
Is that an Obama shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
president.
I'm gonna read off my phone because I wasn't really expecting to ask a question.
Okay.
I completed my degree in economics last semester, and I'm currently wrapping up my data science minor. I was really with you about the fact that the material condition of a young adult now is much worse than that of a student 20 years ago. You're making a lot of good points about the state of the society through an economic lens.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we disagree on the reason for why we've gotten to this point. I feel that the problems we face today are rather a result of a shift in the American economic culture during the Reagan era, when he promoted austerity and Reaganism economics.
Hey, Lisa.
Extreme wealth inequality isn't a new concept. It's something that's been on trend for the past half century. Don't you feel like the transfer of wealth you described earlier is a result of monetary policy enacted by politicians on both sides that cuts spending for social services and keeps the effective tax rate for the 1% low?
So you
almost had me there. Monetary policy, yes. Cheap money benefits rich people. It does, and it disincentivizes saving. You also said, what was the other part? You said the slashing social welfare benefits. Right, yeah, you're not going to get me at that. I do not believe that a heavy burden of social welfare is good for the human condition. I don't think it materially has evidence to actually show people that elevate. Kind of the one-liner that I think we use a lot is we want a safety net, not a hammock, right? We don't want to get people addicted to government assistance. Unfortunately, there's like 40 to 50 million Americans that are just perpetually on government assistance. But something I think you and I could actually agree on is a proper diagnosis of the Reagan era. I think Reagan's a mixed bag. I'm not someone who just defends him at all costs. I think he was really good in the Soviet Union, generally good on anti-socialism and communism, but he also ushered in a lot of other things, such as incredibly radical abortion policy here in California. But there was an agreement post-Reagan and kind of George H.W. Bush, which was kind of part of his regime, that I think you and I could agree on, which is that we really want to try to internationalize the American economy. And there was a betrayal of the American worker, allowing China into the World Trade Organization in the late 90s, right? The repealing of Glass-Steagall, which I'm against, just so we're clear, that I think that was actually good to keep commercial and investment banking separate. I think it created a massive moral hazard. The lowering of interest rates unnecessarily throughout the 90s and early 2000s, which I think were all things that factored in some of these economic conditions that you talked about. But I would be careful just kind of blaming only, that's not true. You did say both parties, but it's not just, it was continued by Clinton a lot in the 90s as well. But the question is, what do we want? And this is something I can actually find common cause with all the people on the left, is I look at middle class wages, how easy to have children, can you flourish, and how many new businesses are we starting, right? And I think under Donald Trump, which is something you'll definitely disagree with, those things actually were improving dramatically. It was a blue collar boom. Middle class wages were going up more than anyone realized. In fact, the wage growth for middle class workers and blue collar workers far outpaced wage growth for the 1% at the top ladder of the economy. Now, was it perfect? Of course it wasn't. I would have liked to see even harsher trade policies against China to actually prioritize our own industry and our own manufacturing. The last thing I'll say is this. I think NAFTA was a disaster. You may disagree or not agree. The left can't really make up their mind on this. They used to hate NAFTA. Now they love NAFTA. I think that the kind of bargain that was sold to us, which is we are going to send all of our labor through a massive arbitrage, close down our factories, send it to Wuhan, China, and get a bunch of plastic in return, was a bad deal for America. And that did play in to a lot of the economic and income inequality we're seeing right now. I don't think we're that far off, to be perfectly honest. I would push back a little bit on some of the critique of supply side and market-based policy. I think it's generally a good thing for society and does have some benefits. So.
Oh, well, good. He didn't really go in on him. Okay, y'all, let me go to sleep now. I think I'm sleepy. Let me see if I had one more. You hear me? I think I'm sleepy. Trump. You think Erica thought Charlie was sexy? Oh, I had something with Erica and hold on. I had it marked. I don't know what I think about. I know I had said, ooh, it was a few days ago. Hold on.
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running.
Speaking of Erica, Lisa.
No matter your industry, Granger's here for you with professional grade supplies. Call, click
You
Granger.com or
would.
just stop by.
Come on, Granger. Why you moving so slow?
Here to tell you who to vote for. My role is to show you the candidates and you can make your
Hold
A
on.
picture just came out of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, that is, one, crazy, two, points out the hypocrisy of MAGA.
It's covered,
and
yeah. I can't-
Christian nationalist movement.
I can't
and
show it.
Three, points out the deep ties between her and Trump. Now,
Yep.
I did not know how deep the ties went until this all started to bubble up, but it is very, very interesting. And of course, we saw how strange he was with her during the memorial, how physical he was with her. And
Hold on. I mean, Lisa Lee, this is your fault. I mean, I had it. But
until this all started to bubble up. But it is very, very interesting. And of course, we saw how strange she was with her.
Lisa. I mean, was he patting her?
During the memorial, how physical he was with her, and I think we're now starting to understand a little bit why.
What was that?
Before we get to that, I just want to say that Kamala Harris, oh, how deep the ties went until this all started to bubble up, but it is very, very interesting. And of course, we saw how strange he was with her during the memorial, how physical he was with her, and I think we're now starting to understand a little bit more why. Before we get to that, I just want to say that Kamala Harris has a book coming out, and you know what? I think you just got to call balls and strikes. She was on Kamala Harris, or she was on Rachel Maddow's show on MSNBC. She was asked about Zoran Mamdani and whether or not she supports him, and here's what she had to say.
As a sort of talent spotter in the Democratic Party, what do you think of him and his candidacy, and what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure. But let me just say this.
So, not exactly full-throated. I guess I don't mean to pick on her, because this is a problem writ large for establishment Democrats. This is just the latest example of it. But what is wrong with supporting the nominee? I don't understand that. Can someone explain that to me? I did not support Zoran in the primary. Now I didn't really announce who I was supporting at all, because I don't think that's my role here, is to tell you who to vote for. My role is to show you the candidates, and you can make your own decision. But he's not the person who's my top choice. Now, I don't even live in New York, so it's not like I could vote. But if I could have voted, I would have been for him first. But the day after he won, I immediately was like, we got to jump on board. That's the guy. He did something that is very hard to do. He won a primary in New York City, and he did it, I thought, in a way that was quite interesting, compelling, and inspiring. And even if you don't agree with everything that he believes in, I think we have to expand the tent. And part of expanding the tent means expanding what it means to be a Democrat and what a Democrat looks like. I truly don't understand the hesitancy in supporting him. He did something that not a lot of Democrats can do right now, which is get overwhelming majority from a vast groups of people. And he did it in a way that I thought was unique and compelling. I wish that Democrats would just support him. If it were the other side of things and it were MAGA,
Charlie and Erica fantasy
they would be
to have Trump join them in the cloud.
Especially if they did so
with a boo-boo diaper on
everything else. Okay, so I just
and mashed potatoes on his head.
Maybe you understand it. You can teach
You're gonna make me get sick. It's too late.
I see a really interesting, charismatic,
what does this have?
Thoughtful candidate.
What does this have to do with
showing us what it means to be a Democrat in 2025? Now, of course, Zoran Mamdani couldn't win. I don't think he could win a statewide race in Michigan or Pennsylvania, but he's running in New York City. So why don't we support what a Democrat looks like in New York City? All right, so I'm going to say. Okay, so anyway.
Okay, now get back to Erica.
As I said, this was a very strange moment here. Donald Trump, incapable of feeling empathy or sadness.
Yeah, right.
Next to a grieving widow. Here he is doing a little dance.
I don't have time for bullshit.
What is wrong with this man?
I am Chef Sam Talbot. I've been cooking for 37 years. What the hell?
I truly don't think he knows what it feels like to feel.
He's still a kid.
Now, here's this thing that happened that I thought was very strange. The way that he grabbed her and smiled. Did you catch that? Threads is literally the worst place to watch clips. It's terrible. Now, I was thinking,
Yeah, that
what
growl, like,
that reminds me of this shit. That's the same goddamn look. The smile and grin. We all know it with the dancing.
Yeah, that's that I will.
Yeah, that is literally this. That's
yeah.
this 30 years later. Anyways, you got it. Now, this to me I thought was very there's that face. There's that face.
Yeah.
He tried kissing her on the lips, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Kissing her on the lips. And this is very strange.
Oh, wow. He tried to kiss the girl.
Now,
I did not tell y'all.
I did not know about.
Oh.
I was
That he was going to be trying to be in her BED.
Shocked.
And it said Trump.
Shocked.
It said Trump.
This is
It says,
Kirk.
hold on.
It's Arizona.
Oh, she was in his pageant. Oh, hold on. Are y'all trying to tell me she was in one of those pageants a long time ago? You are lying to me. I know you lying. I know you lying. I know you lying. Oh my God. She was in one of his pageants a long time ago, y'all. Did y'all know that? It is always a connection, ain't it? That is Erica. Long time ago, I guess. Yeah, when he used to have those pageants. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, 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 wow. I did not see that coming. Oh, wow.
Here's a little bit of background that I did not know about until this very moment. Charles James Kirk was born on October 14th, 1993 in the Chicago suburb of Arlington Heights, Illinois, and raised in nearby. His father, Robert W. Kirk, is an architect who was involved in the construction of Trump Tower.
Oh, wow.
And then this person asks here, did Charlie Kirk's wife and his father both work under Trump's business empire? Wife, Miss Arizona USA 2012, when Trump owned the Miss Universe organization. Dad, architect tied to Trump Tower. What are the odds? What are the odds? I actually did not know that Charlie Kirk came from money, but I guess that makes sense too. After learning about Erica's past with Trump, watching this exchange just felt strange. Do you see Trump trying to kiss the widow on the lips? And why is she so close to him? And his predatory smile? Charlie Kirk is watching, and I'm sure he is weirded out too.
Oh, wow.
People keep sharing clips with comments like, I've never seen Trump so emotional, he looks heartbroken. That's not what this looks like. He's having a ball. He tried to pretend he knew what empathy was, but the mask always slips. I mean, there wasn't even a mask. This man did not care one bit.
Did you know that, Lisa?
Erica Kirk's parents are Kent and Melanie France V. Kent France V was a prominent figure in the defense industry, having chaired Raytheon's Israel division and been involved in significant military projects, including the Iron Dome. Melanie's background is less publicly detailed, but the family has been noted for their connections to conservative and pro-Israel circles.
Israel.
It's all very interesting stuff.
They go to Israel.
Chosen early on as the Peter Thiel School of turning angry rich white kids into right-wing politicians, ideologues. That's probably as close as Trump has been to a button for a long time without having to pay in some sort of way. Crazy that his whole shtick was, I'm super religious and morally superior to you, all the while his cougar wife was on red carpets. By the way, really interesting that, you know,
Oh, wow.
Melania Trump. Melania Trump wasn't there. I mean, and then lots of people just like, there are no such thing as coincidences. I just think it's
No, I don't believe in coincidences.
coincidental. I don't know what it means. Probably doesn't mean anything. But it's very, very,
Oh,
very,
wow.
very coincidental. And by the way, she did try grabbing him.
Ah! Ah! Lisa, this is your fault. I've had this, but
Very, 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 very coincidental.
oh
And by
my
the way,
God.
she did try grabbing him.
She felt that diaper. She felt that pamper. Were they trying to feel on each other?
I don't need to ever see that again. I'm sorry to spring that on you. But,
Were they trying to get that? What in the
There's a lot
world?
of this backstory that we are not really privy to, that we will learn more.
What in the
But
world?
it's very, 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 very coincidental. And by the way, she did try grabbing him.
What? Okay, so what was right here? Did he have on a vest or a diaper? Lord, I gotta go to sleep. Was Erica raised poor? No. 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 They work together. I mean, you know. Oh, wow. What? Lisa. This is your fault.
Grabbing him.
Lisa, this is your fault that you have forced me to watch this widow grabbing on Trump's diaper. Boy, I bet she smelled that hand. I bet you it smelled like raw sewage. What in the hell? Oh man, she better keep her hand from back there. She thought she was gonna rub on his buttocks. What in the? What? Was that a diaper?
Anyways, that I don't need to ever see that again. I'm sorry to spring that on you, but let's keep following this. Clearly, there's a lot of this backstory that we are not really privy to, that we will learn more. And if you want to learn more along...
So no, was Erica raised poor? Now that I don't know, but it seemed like she was in the Trump pageants.
Anyways, you got it. Now, this to me I thought was very strange.
He was trying to kiss her.
He tried kissing her on the lips, by the way. He tried kissing her on the lips. And this is very strange to me.
Oh, I know he was smelly.
Now, this I did not know about. I'm telling you, I was shocked.
Okay, y'all. Good night. What time?
When I saw
It's
this.
almost 2. Let me. You shocked. Now you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Keith. You have made me speechless tonight. Only. That's why she was like, "Oh, Charlie, I really did love you." Like some, yeah. Like they sicked her on him. Because, yeah. Okay, y'all, good night. Let me go to sleep. Oh, I gotta get up. Okay, good night. Please hit the like button on your way out. And if you come back in to watch this, oh my goodness, please make sure y'all hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Good night. Sleep tight.